right, we got Mr. Lucky's 2013 F-150 in here today. We got a pretty fun little task we're gonna do. We're gonna go ahead and get this puppy up in the air, and we are gonna change the front differential on it. It's a long story how we got to this point, but essentially let's just say it is leaking. He has his old one that he has repaired and rebuilt and just needs us to help put it in. So we're gonna get right into this job. I guess before we do, I will say I will have links for like gear oil and things up here in the video and in the links below. So if you are gonna do this job and you're trying to figure out how to do it, you can order that stuff off Amazon. That helps us out. Otherwise, you can get it at your local parts store. We're gonna get it up and we're gonna dive right into this puppy. Step number one is get it up in the air, supported, and we are going to get the tires and wheels removed and then start pulling the axles. Here we are, we got it up, we got the driver's side tire off. So I want to show you, his leak is actually just the CV axle seal right here. It's leaking all down underneath this where the CV axle on the driver's side goes in. He did bring a passenger side CV axle because he wants to replace that as well. But I think we're gonna save him some money here, and we're probably just gonna change out this seal right here because that's the only place it appears to be leaking. So first step, we're gonna have to blow apart the suspension and get this axle out, and then we'll take a look at it from there. So what we're gonna do, let's see. We're gonna pull the brake caliper. We'll hang the brake caliper up here off the upper control arm. That is gonna be what looks like 13 or 14 millimeter bolts. So we'll zip those out, work this puppy off. We'll set the brake pads to the side, remove the caliper bracket, and get the rotor off. And we'll set that to the side, and I'll probably just do all that real quick, and then we will pick up from that point. And then we're gonna have to get the rotor off, get this little cap off here. We'll undo the axle nut, and then I'm guessing we're gonna have to at least get this tie rod out, maybe the tie rod and the upper control arm so we can move this spindle out of the way to fish this axle out. But we'll get to that point when we get there. But for now, let me pop these puppies off and then we'll go from there. We got the brakes and the rotors off. The 21 millimeters on the caliper brackets, at least in this truck, were tight. But we got this puppy off, no big deal. Now we're gonna pull this dust shield off, I think, which is 3/8 millimeters, it looks like, because I want to take the wheel speed sensor out right here, which is this Allen head, and swing this to the side, because then we're gonna get this axle nut off here. And I think we're gonna pull the spindle loose from the upper control arm and from the tie rod here so we can flex it out of the way. Then we should be ready to pull this axle here. All right, here we are. We got the dust shield off. The Allen head is a 5 millimeter Allen head, so we took that out. So we're gonna pull this up out of the wheel speed sensor here, so that way I can unclip it here, and whenever we swing this spindle, we're not just yanking on the cable. Actually, looks like that's bolted on with an 8mm too, so we'll take that 8mm out right there. That can hang down with the brake line. We'll need to take the brake line off as well, which is a 10 millimeter. So here's an 8, here's a 10. We'll set those aside. Then we have a 14 millimeter nut on the axle nut. That's the smallest I've ever seen on a CV axle. Of the hundreds and hundreds I've changed, I've never seen one this itty bitty. That's funny. So we'll zip that off, and then make sure we got some freedom to push on the axle here. And then we are going to pop the tie rod in the upper control arm, see if we can't swing this swindle and get this axle popped out of here. So let me clean this bit up here. We'll get this nut off, and then we'll work on getting the spindle free. All right, here we are. We got our tie rod out. I've got the upper ball joint loose, so we should now be able to push this out. So hopefully we should be able to swing this puppy forward and rotate it in one of the two directions and fish this axle out. But that is a deep axle engagement, so I'm really getting nervous. I'm gonna have to pull this whole spindle.
A few moments later.
All right, here we go. So I got the lower ball joint loose. I have a big zip tie in my hand. I haven't quite decided where I'm gonna go with it, so it might be a little panicky when it happens. But I do believe we should be able to lift this now and take this out. And then this puppy should fall. So he's got moog ball joints everywhere. That's real nice. That's good. So, well, of course, I have my jack in the way. Oh. Uh-oh. Oh, those are just vacuum lines? Are you kidding me? They're just vacuum lines on the tip. They'll come right off. You don't got to worry about hanging this at all. I'm such a goober. Ugh. Doy. Vacuum actuated. Who would have thunk it? I thought they were doing electronically actuated it this year, and I am a fool for that. So cool. So there's our spindle. It's gone. Now all we gotta do is pop our axle out right here, So I will show you how to do that in just a second. All right, so for the driver's side, all we're gonna do is we're gonna take this pry bar, we're gonna get right up underneath this lip right here, and we're just gonna give it a little pop to try and pop it past the C-clip. See what we can do. This is doesn't seem to be a super good pry point. Oh, here we go, right here. There's a lot of movement in that thing in there. All right, let's try it the other way. Let's get the old slide hammer out. See if we can't. Oh, here we go. Hell yeah. All right, here we are. I actually managed, of course I didn't have my camera rolling. I managed to get my crowbar up from this angle right here on the bottom, just like this. And I got right up behind it and got it to pop loose. Now, that being said, I'm looking at this thing trying to figure out why it's leaking, right? This is apparently his third seal that has gone into this differential, and it leaks every time after driving. But if you look up in here, this bearing back here, I'm gonna try and get you a good look at it, is just chewed up. And the surface right here on potentially this race, that might be a part of the seal, that's all chewed up, which tells me that the axle can kind of bounce around in here, and it would make perfect sense why it's not sealing at all. So we're gonna pop this seal out, then I want to take a look at here a little better. Well, I can tell you exactly what the problem is in this here instance, and this is gonna be an oddball one. So this is called your pilot bearing seal, right? There's supposed to be a pilot bearing right here that's not in the freaking diff. So that axle's bouncing all around, not allowing a good seal here. You got to have that bearing to hold it straight. That's why it had so much movement and I was all weirded out by it. So it's just literally missing a bearing. Look, he has the replacement one we were going to put in. I'm going to see if he wants to just put a bearing in now instead. But look, here's your bearing. That puppy's not in the other one. That's the whole issue. So let's see what we can do, and maybe we'll just swap that out and give that a whirl. All right, here we are. We got the seal pulled. So I just use like your standard hook style seal puller. You just kind of get it up under the edge and just work around until it'll pop out of there. These things are cheap. You can get them anywhere. Amazon, auto parts store, Harbor Freight. But yeah, so what I'm going to end up doing now, which this is such a unique situation, I'm the only one who'll probably do this. I'm going to wedge a bunch of paper towels up in here on this back side. I need to get my barrel sander out and just make sure that I go around this edge here and clean up the marring. And then we'll be ready to drive our new bearing in, but I don't want any of these burrs, little spots where the axle seems to have clipped it, to tear our new seal or mess up our bearing. For curiosity's sake, I thought I'd let you see my little protective paper towel wall. So there was such little deburring that had to happen. I don't think it really would have mattered, but better safe than sorry. You don't want any extra metal up in there, or any metal at all really, but here we go. So we're gonna take those out. Voila, so now we'll clean this up and then we're ready to drive our bearing in. All right, so whenever you're cleaning up, getting ready to put your new seal in, you need to check all the way up around the circumference. Like you see that little black line right there, that's old gasket material. So you'll just want to take like some red Scotch-Brite or paper towel and like a brush, a wire wheel will work. You just kind of go around it, just make sure you get all that knocked off and cleaned off so it's fresh, clean metal to seal against before you put your new parts in. Here we are with our new bearing. So you're gonna need what's called a bearing driver to do that. It's just this little tool, fits on the bearing like that. We can get up there and we can tap this in there till it is flush. Simple as that. These are also extremely cheap. You can rent them from your local auto parts store too, if it's not something you plan on using more than once. But we're gonna get this puppy kind of centered in the hole with our hands. So like that there, and now we're gonna start tapping it in, and we just need to hammer it in there till it's flush. hopefully you can get a view of that from where you're at. All right, there you have it. Our new bearing is in and will actually support the CV axle. Come on. Now, all that's left to do is install this new seal here. We'll get that installed till it's flush and we can put everything back together. So these seals are easier to install. What we'll do is we're gonna push it up in there like we just did. I'm gonna stick a 2x4 in there and I'm gonna tap the 2x4 to knock this in nice and even and flush. Of course, the only 2x4 I have is 1.5 miles long, but we should be all right. Now, I don't know about you, but that looks way more righter. That we can see a bearing in there. Heck yeah. So now what we got to do is we got to get the axle put back in. So I'll show you a quick trick on that. Then we'll get to buttoning everything up. I'll tell you the torque specs on all the stuff we took apart, all the ball joints, tie rods, and axle nut, and then we'll go from there. So let me grab that CV axle and I'll show you a nice little trick. You can basically take a rubber mallet, you just compress it and then whap the end to get the circlip to pop in. We're just trying to rotate that and make sure we're getting engagement. Then we're going to compress it and whap it with a mallet. Whew, I don't think we're all the way engaged though with the splines. Ah. There it went. That's what we were looking for right there. Now we can get her to pop in. So we'll just hold it up, press it all the way, and just bam, just like that. Now you'll see she's actually yeah, she's up against the seal. She's good. She's good. Also notice no up-down movement right there. Very important. Very, very important. All right, we are all seated and sealed up. So now we just got to put our spindle back on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold it up there. We're going to fish the axle in as we put it up. Get this lower nut started here. We'll get the upper one going. And then, yeah, I'll just give you the torque specs here in just a second and then let you finish it up. It's going to come apart the same, go together the same way it came apart, essentially. All right, here we are with the spindle back in place. So we are down to torquing things down. So your tie rod end and your upper ball joint are going to be 115 Newton meters, and the lower ball joint is 150. Don't forget to put new cotter pins in if you cut yours out. And if you didn't, put them back in, fold them back, make sure they are folded all the way around and they can't come out. But I'm going to torque these three down. We'll get our cotter pins in, so we're done with that. This is also your reminder to put your 10 millimeter and your 8 millimeter back into your side of your spindle that hold the brackets, and to insert your wheel speed sensor, which we'll put back in over here, and put our hex bolt back in there as well. So we're gonna get all this torqued down, then we'll come back and we'll torque the axle nut here, and then get our brakes all put back together. All right, so we have torqued down our tie rod and ball joints and put our new cotter pins in. So now we're moving down to the axle nut. This is 40 Newton meters. This is crazy. This is the smallest, least amount of torque I've ever seen on one of these. So I'm just gonna go ahead and knock it out real quick. Let's see how tight that ends up being. There he goes. Okay, let me grab a pry bar. So if you've never done one of these before, what you want to do is just lay a pry bar right here between your studs. Normally this is way harder than what this one's going to be, because they're, see, that's it, that's all you got on this one. But when you put this through, typically they're like 150, sometimes 200 Newton meters. So That one is all buttoned up. So we are going to slap our dust shield on and our little dust cover over the nut here. And then I will pick up when we're putting the caliper bolts back in. We're gonna wanna make sure that we clean those suckers up and put some fresh Loctite on them. But we are on the home stretch, y'all. All right, here we are getting ready to put our caliper bracket back on. I like to put a little bit of blue Loctite on there, even if they don't have it from the factory. It's good practice. And these bolts torque down to 250 Newton meters, which is a bananas torque, I might add. That's the kind of thing you expect to see on an axle nut, not on a brake caliper bracket, but these bolts are massive, so it does make sense. So we're gonna go ahead and just get them in, screw them down, torque them down, and then I'm gonna show you one last thing to check before I turn you loose, to just throw your brake caliper back on and your brake pads, rotor, and all that. Wait, I should probably put my rotor on there, right? So here, I'll show you this real quick before I take this off and put the rotor on. But make sure you check your caliper slides while you're doing all of this. This is something a lot of people overlook. So see how these ones are moving in and out nice and easy? If these feel gummy at all, you need to hold the rubbers with your finger, pull them out like this with the boot. And like, this is some nasty old grease, so I'm gonna actually clean this off for him and re-grease them real quick. But you'll just take synthetic brake grease, you'll brake cleaner this, wipe it all off, slather some new synthetic brake grease on there, and then just stick it in the hole and work it back and forth and plop it back into that rubber. And that way, you know, they're nice and clean and free moving, because that grease does get old and it does get gummy, and then you'll end up wearing one brake pad way more than the other when that happens. But let me put my actual rotor on before I forget. How silly. All right, here we are. I'm getting ready to put the brake pads back on. We have re-greased the caliper slides, so they do move even a little fairly easier now. One last thing I wanted to point out, though, a little learning lesson for all y'all out there. So these brake pads are very new, but you'll notice that the rotor has a bunch of grooves in it. The other side's even worse. So I don't know if the high school class did it or Mr. Lucky did it, but you always want to make sure that you at least turn your rotors every time you do your brake pads, because you want to start with a nice flat surface. My suspicion would be that this probably has a little bit of shudder when you hit the brakes now, because these have to be somewhat warped, I would think. That also will help prevent squeal in the future. But yeah, just always at least get them turned if you don't replace them. So it's not that much more work, and any auto parts store will do it for like 25, 30 bucks. But then whenever you put everything back together, I like to put a little dabble of grease on the hardware like that, and then I put grease up on the piston and the contact points on the piston just to ensure there's no squeaking. Synthetic brake grease is your friend on modern day brakes. There's no doubt about that. But I'm going to slap these pads on, slap the caliper back on, get the tire on, and then we are going to make sure that diff is topped off, and we'll be ready to go test drive. All right, y'all, here we go. I got everything back together. I did just snug up these lug nuts. I'm going to drop the truck down, and we're going to torque those to 204 Newton meters. Always torque your lug nuts. But if you were here for the axle video, you are good to go once you have those torqued. If you were here to change the seal, don't forget to top off the diff fluid if it's been leaking. You'll see my little puddle right there from where I overfilled it and let it run back out. But yeah, you basically just go to this little drain hole right here. It's just a 3/8 socket. You can put a 3-inch extension to get to it. Take that out and squirt your fluid in until it runs down this thing with like a steady stream, and then you just kind of let it run a little bit and put the plug back in. So hopefully this helped somebody out. If it did, hit that thumbs up button and subscribe if you want to see more.